Zelete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. A serious event just happened along the border between Chad and Sudan, and every African needs to pay attention to what this really means. According to an official military statement read on national television, foreign planes and military drones flee across the border and drop bombs deep inside Chad. That attack happened in the desert area of Mundi. The military stated that these planes and drones belong to the Sudanese armed forces and their supporters. They were chasing a group of vehicles on the Sudanese side of the border, but instead of stopping at the border, they kept chasing them and dropping bombs over 60 miles inside Chadian territory. Fortunately, no Chadian citizens were reportedly unalive in this specific attack, but the Chadian military has put its troops on the highest level of alert. They issued a stern warning to the fighting groups in Sudan. They told them clearly, do not bring your war into Chad. To understand why this is so dangerous, you have to look at how these borders were made in the first place. These lines on the map were not drawn by Africans. They were drawn by foreign colonial powers over 100 years ago. They drew straight lines through forests and deserts, cutting right through families, ethnic groups, and ancient trade routes. Today, those artificial lines are working against us. When war breaks out in Sudan, it cannot be contained by a line on a map. People on both sides share the same language, the same culture, and the same family ties.
Communique of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. The General Staff of the Armies carries, to the attention of national and international opinion, of the aerial bombardments that occurred Thursday, August 20th, 2027, at about 20 o'clock, on the borders of our common borders with Sudan, including the one in the department of Mordi, in the province of Enedi, is, as a result of the findings, throughout the day on Friday 21, August 2026, by aerial and physical means, it has been established that the belligerent parties to Sudan have once again into our national territory, an effective aircraft and drones, of which all have indicated that they belong to the armed forces, and or their supporters have continued and pounded a column of vehicles first on soil, then up to more than 100 kilometers within Chadian territory, although no Chadian casualties were recorded. To this day, and while strongly condemning this new violation of the territorial integrity of our country, the General Staff of the Armed Forces seriously warns belligerents about suicidal risk, which he incurs by continuing to expand the conflict on Chadian territory. The General Staff of the Armed Forces reassures the population that the defense and security forces maintain their alert at the highest level in order to retaliate strongly to any threat that may affect to the peace and security of Chadians.
When fighting starts, fighters run across the border, weapons flow across the border, and now bombs are falling across the border. Look at what is happening across our continent today. In the Sahel, in Central Africa, and in the Horn of Africa, foreign powers sell weapons to different sides. They profit from our internal fights. Meanwhile, African armies are forced to guard lines in the sun, treating their own neighbors as enemies. The planes and the drones dropping bombs on African soil are often built outside of Africa, paid for with money that should be building schools and hospitals. We are fighting each other over borders that were designed to keep us divided in the first place. This military statement from Chad shows us a painful truth. No African country can be safe on its own. As long as we stay divided into Over 50 small countries, foreign interests will always play us against each other. A war in Sudan will always spill into Chad. A crisis in one neighboring country will always push refugees and weapons into the nest. This is why African unity is not just a dream or a nice idea for political speeches. It is a matter of basic survival. If we had a unified African defense system, foreign weapons and foreign interference could not move through our land so easily. If we had true regional cooperation, neighbor will not have to threaten neighbor over accidental border crossing. And the time for us all to unite is now. Whatever that is done on the soil of Africa benefits people who are living outside of the continent. Why is it taking us so difficult to just rule out all these lines and live a life free? And people are also asking, what is cooking in Chad? What is going on wrong in Chad? Why will the Sudanese also decide to land in Chad with bombs if they are truly chasing some people who are on a vehicle and they finally cross into Chad? And why should Chad be a safe haven for such people? These are questions that a lot of people are asking. But whatever the situation is, it is the African against the African. That is why the unification of our continent is very important. Until we do this, we will continue to be fragmented and continue to serve the interests of other people. Why is it that the same people who united and came with even their differences that we are seeing among them are able to still unite against us, yet we can never unite against the same people? We prefer to continue to carry the interests of other people, like the ECOWAS chairperson, former chairperson Julius Maada Bio told us at Davos that they protect borders, so protecting the people. And for how long will the leaders in Africa continue to protect the borders? And when they say borders, you understand the colonizers' interests instead of you, the people. These things we know were imposed on us, but we can only undo them when we meet in Addis Ababa or when we meet in our regional blocks. But taking concrete actions against this that will unify the African becomes a problem. And you, the African, sometimes or most of the time, allow yourself against your own division. This internal division, this trouble, whatever they are using against us, were generated by them, and they continue to use this as a tool against you, the African, because we are never ready to love ourselves. And that is why Captain Ibrahim Traore will ask you, why do you love the people who oppress you so much? Why? Because the African, like Joshua Mamponga will say, somebody brought us a God in their image. So when we are trying to unite against them, we think we are going against their God. And that mental slavery has kept Africans this way till this time. The time is now. We are in a new world, a world full of information. The people who are fighting you have lost their power. Why not rise up to fight to regain your own, like we are seeing in Iran? And the Finland president told us something simple. It's either we unite now and fight for our total liberation, be players, or continue to remain as pawns forever. But we must unite, especially this our generation. We have a responsibility to set the continent free. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa and in Chad.